have any tips or guidance to help those like me who may lose drive or momentum with their task list towards the end of the week?
Yes. Do less. I mean, ultimately, what I find, okay, I'll start with ideal and work back to realistic, right? So what I have found is that with not just with myself, but I've seen it consistently in my clients, is that there is what I call the last run of the day problem. In skiing, there's this tendency for people to say, oh, I'm tired. I've been skiing all day, but I'll just get one more run in. Let me go up and do one more run. And that's when you break your arm, right? That's when you break a leg. That's when you have an injury because you didn't stop just one run shy of what you thought you could do. And often we do this in our productivity is instead of stopping right shy of what we thought we could do for the day, we go over, right? So, and then when we go over, I don't know if you've ever had these kinds of days where, have you had a day where you're like, I'm pretty much done. I could stop now. I feel good. But you say, you know what? Let me just get that one more thing done. And then by the time you finish that, actually, even though it was only like 30 minutes, you're just fried. And so I would suggest to you that sometimes it's not linear. There's these moments where you sort of drop off a cliff, right? And you just, you go over and just try that one more task or that one more project, and then bam, you're just fried out. And so I would suggest to you that there is a optimal amount of work where even like if you stop just short of your max on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, that even on Friday, you won't get that. Like it's Friday for me now, a lot of times now, and it's hard to believe this. I don't even know what day it is because on Friday, I feel just as much energy as I felt on Monday. And it's because I'm only working 28 hours a week, right? And when you're only working about 4.5 hours a day, you never get to that fried moment and you never get that accumulated burnout that starts to pile up by Friday to where you're like, I can't. And you lose your animal brain says, I want out, get me away from this, right? So ideally, we're going to get you to a place by choosing leverage, by being more systematic, by defending your boundaries and making sure that as you create space, you don't get more work piling into that space. Through all of that, I would like you to get to a place where there is no accumulated burnout and the concomitant sort of psychic rejection that you get where it's like, oh, God, so much work, but I'm just slowing down, right? So I want to start this conversation by saying that's a sign that something's wrong. And when I mean wrong, not like 10 out of 10 wrong, I just mean slightly wrong. And you don't have to live like that. You can actually live in a way where Friday feels fun. There's no accumulated burnout by Friday. Okay, now to bring it more towards the realistic, what I would say is most people do experience an energy depletion from morning to evening, Monday through Friday. And that's because most people are working slightly beyond their limit, right? They're pushing beyond that limit. And so there is an accumulated burnout. So I think the best that you can do in that scenario is to just make sure that looking back on the week that you stack the work in the right way. So this is tip number one. Stack the work in and say, did I do tier one work during my tier one energy? Or looking back, did I take meetings and process email on Monday and Tuesday morning when I should have been doing my deep work? And now here it is Friday and I'm trying to get to my deep work and I'm slogging through really slowly because frankly, I'm trying to do tier one work in a tier three block of time. Does that make sense? So that's tip number one. It's just optimizing it. Tip number two is also, sometimes you can play games with yourself. It has happened where I'll just play little games with myself. And one of the things I'll do is I'll look at a task list and instead of ordering it by priority, which is how you should technically be doing, I'll break the rules and I'll just be like, what do I have willingness to do right now? What am I willing to do on this list? Even if it's not the most important thing for me to do, because there's a great book called Productive Procrastination. And the whole premise of productive procrastination is, have you ever had like a test that you need to study for or something big and you end up cleaning your whole house and you clean it better and faster than you've ever cleaned your house before? And you're like, But if cleaning the house had been the number one task, you would have done it. You would have wanted to do a different task. So his assertion is that we are always willing to do number 2, 3, or 4 on our task list by way of avoiding number 1 on our task list. And he's like, well, you could sort of use that to your advantage by saying, okay, I've got resistance to this thing at the top of my task list. What don't I have resistance to? Let's move through that fast. And you find yourself actually working rapidly by way of avoiding the thing you want to be doing. Is that ideal? No, that is not ideal. However, I'd also be lying to say that it's not effective in some certain use cases, right? I mean, again, a little here is good, but a lot isn't better. A little means that you could use this as a hack, maybe, to get yourself motivated and keep moving and get that speed back in your productivity. But taken to the extreme, what this means is it's really productive procrastination, and you could find yourself really tired, having gotten a lot done, but not having gotten the most important thing done. And so be cautious with that hack.